Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Had a lazy day yesterday, didn't we? The video I put up was put together from clips filmed on Saturday, so I didn't film anything. And my editing is pretty straightforward, the sort of editing I do. I don't do the sort where this sort of thing happens in the middle of a sentence or that happens. I don't cut out words and play with stuff like that. I just don't, basically. What comes out is what you get. Waffle or otherwise. Before I start, we're doing a repot today, so those who are not interested in repots, at least I let you know at the beginning. Yeah, always try and say what I'm going to do. I do forget sometimes. So we're doing a repot, and I'm repotting my Brassia that's recently finished blooming. So I was waiting for that point, but we got new roots and stuff. And it's several pieces in a pot. I've forgotten how many pieces. They might not all get repotted, but the idea of multiple pieces in a pot, apart from dividing up a really large plant and starting again, where I might put several in a pot to grow on, not to leave in there, which is what's happened with this, multiple plants in pots I'm gonna try and stop it. I've got the space now. So if a plant splits into two, then it's two pots, small pots, nice tight compact root, should do the plants better. If you put them in a bigger pot to get them both in, you've then got a big root space. And although it's two plants and they should fill it, they don't at the beginning, so it stays wet a bit too long. But before we do that, I've just noticed a cane bending. And I thought, what's wrong with that? I'll get the camera down and we'll go and have a look. So it's going to be a bit wobbly just for a minute. Get the screen round. Yeah, if you look at that really tall dendrobium from here, the tall cane is just all bent over like that. I thought, what on earth's going wrong with that? Recently repotted, the new cane's coming on nicely. It's a pity there's only one, but this is Dendrobium infundibulum. It blooms quite frequently for me, but it got dropped on the floor and broke the top of what was the latest cane off. So I don't know whether that's actually ever going to bloom. I don't know what's going to happen with that cane, but look what's going on over there. That's why the cane's bent over. There's two huge buds. I didn't know they were there. Hello, Mojo's coming to join in the conversation. Yeah, so it's going to be in bloom again. It hasn't long gone out of bloom, so that'll be good. And I'll have to get out there and straighten that cane up a bit if I can. So that's that. Let me just let Chatterbox out. Come on then. The other thing I wanted to show you is over here. Shari Baby is starting to branch. So this spike's going to be a nice spike this time round with branches, so it's going to have an awful lot of blooms on. The red one that, again, the fan blew onto the floor and broke the end off, these are going to open soon, so we'll have a nice splash of red. And over here, the new Coleogeny I got, I said the bloom was going over and there'd be another one soon. Well, the other one has recently opened, just yesterday basically. I don't think it's fully open yet, but look at that colour in the lip. Absolutely stunning. And the structure as well. So that was that. Now I zoomed out properly, yes. So we will pop the camera back on here and get back to our repot. So you get a bit of everything today. Get some surprise buds that crept up on me that I didn't know I had. A new bloom opened. And a look at some things to come. Woo! Right, let's get the screen around the right way. Tip that down. It's a relatively large plant we're working on today, compared with some anyway. I think that's about right. Let's have a look. Yeah, that should do. And hang on, Nuisance wants to come in now. if you're coming. Nuisance. Right, back to the repot. This is Brassia Vericosa Sea Breeze with its contrived pot with various things in there to hold it up, and giant thingany-bob. Now this went into a shallow pot. It produced a mass of roots, all of which are now old and tired, but we have new roots coming now. Around the top here, some down into the pot. So this is rooting at this point. And as I said, it's pieces, but this has come round to the front of the queue. This is it's not an emergency repot, but in my colour coding I've got bright orange, which means do it now. They don't last long, so we don't have any bright orange at the moment. Then we have pale yellow. This is ones that can be done as and when I get round to it. And then we have bright yellow, and that's ones that really ought to be done as soon as possible, providing it's the right time for the plant, which is where this one's at. And the reason this one is on that list is that when it was potted, it used the Welsh moss, and it's been in the pot 2 years, and the moss is dead. So we will do a bit of squeezing, tease away any roots that are on the edge of the pot. Now some of these pieces might not be kept, they might get dumped. Get that out of the way. Tag out of the way. This new, the machine I use to do my tags I'm quite happy with. It's a little tedious doing one letter at a time, but how else would you be able to do it? Unless you had like one where you said it and then it would spell it wrong. But they fade really badly and relatively quickly, although this is at the brighter end. Now we will be on a rescue mission with this media that's all falling off, because in here we have grow stones. They can be sterilised and reused because they're almost impossible to get now. And we also have some giant rock hard bark that was put in as crocking, and we will do the same with that. We will rescue it and sterilise it. See, these roots are all old and tired. There's not much left here worth bothering with. Now I'm going to start peeling the plants off. So we've got one there. Let's just separate them all, and then we'll look into them and see what we've got. It's difficult to work out what we've got here, I think. Do you know what? I think this is a big piece. What have we got round here? I thought this was lots of little pieces. I don't think it is. No. Well, I think this is going to get potted as a lump, as is. And if it is several pieces, they're well entrenched. We've got a new growth here, a big strong new growth here coming up in the middle of the plant. Then we've got this big growth here, that's the one that's just bloomed. Another new growth here, pushing on nicely with roots coming. I think I'm just going to take the back end off and tease the rest of this media out. The media that's left in there now is grow stones and bark. I've got all the moss has come off. So that's the bit I was worried about, because when moss dies, it not only becomes acidic, it becomes very acidic, and in addition to that it will turn media that it touches and start that going as well. I think that'll do. So I'm going to take the back end of the plant off. I'll be back, I need the secateurs for that. That's a bit too much for my scissors to cope with. So I'm going to come back to there for a start. So we'll take that off. And then I'm going to take this off as well, back to there. That's like useless old stuff. That's got rid of most of the roots. Now we get rid of sheaths. Oh, some of these are tough on these Brassias. But they're hidey places, and although scale is a rare event in here nowadays, there's still a few around. You don't want to give them anywhere to hide and encourage them, so get the sheaths off. Right, see now here, this side shoot here is a weak growth. I'm just checking that it is attached, and it is. Right, so what we have here is quite a nice plant, and it's a good size. So by leaving some of these bulbs here, this big one that's bloomed, we've got a big leafless one here, a big one here with a new growth coming off. I think we're going to end up with a reasonable plant, and then we've got this little piece here which I could pot up and it would grow, but that's 2 to 3 years off getting to flowering size again. Take up space unnecessarily, so we won't bother with that. And we need to get rid of old tired roots to leave room for these nice new ones that are coming out. So practically everything on the back end of the plant will come into that category. It is most of the older roots, basically. I mean, this is how orchids work. I mean, this is how they are in the wild. You know, if you detach one from its tree or whatever in the wild, you'll find a lot of old dead roots in amongst the moss that it's growing in, or the roots of other plants they often grow into. I know this looks like I'm taking virtually every root off, but actually I am. There's no point in leaving them there. They're not going to branch, they're not going to grow, they're dead. If you feel them, they're hollow. They feel like there's nothing inside them, and strictly speaking there isn't. Right, so that leaves us some nice root tips, and plenty more to come. Can I get in and get that off? Do you know, when I pulled that root, yeah, it's not all one plant at all. There's another piece there. That's a progression. That's how Brassias would normally grow. Yeah, these are very inferior bulbs, and we have a little new growth. Yeah, there's 2 little new growths there. Do you know what? Look, it's going to do it again. I thought it was lots of pieces. These are not joined. So we've now got 2 strong pieces and 2 or 3 weak pieces. I'm going to keep these as plants to grow on, but strong plants to grow on. Yeah? So we've got a nice big bulb and a lovely strong new growth and roots. Roots coming and growing. So we will pot that, and then here again we've got a large bulb, another large bulb that's recently bloomed, a new growth with roots. Nice strong new plant to grow on, and that's what we're going to do. So 2 plants, and they will both go in their own quite small pot. Now it's gone. I was hoping that one might still be alive, but it's not. So there we go. I did say it was a pot full of pieces. I was pretty sure of that, but I couldn't remember how many and how big they were. It was quite a large plant when it was divided up. So what we've got to do now is grow back to some more nice large plants. Right, I shall sort this mess out because I want to rescue these big. This hard bark that I got a long time ago that I can't repeat, I mean that's been in the bottom of a pot where it gets wet. Look, it's rock hard. So I will re-sterilise that and save it. I will save the grow stones and do the same thing. They're not going to get used now, but they may get used later. So we will save them, clear up the rubbish and sort out some pots suitable for that size plant. And it certainly ain't going to be that big, is it? And I'm just going to keep the 2, even though there's 5 individual plants. I don't want 5 of the same plant. I'm happy with 2, but to me the blooms are not spectacular enough to warrant that many separate plants. I could put the 3 little ones in an individual pot and grow them on, but then I'll be in this boat again later on. You know, so I'd rather just grow the good ones on, the ones with good roots, and we'll get those going. Right, I'll be back. Hi, welcome back. Let's concoct something to plant these in. The basics will be medium bark. In amongst that, well, I've still got some, and I'll add some small bark. Just to make it all a bit tighter around the roots. Make sure they hydrate well. But as it's bark, and it's new bark, it will dry quickly when I want it to, like in the winter when these slow down. Brassias, Oncidium Alliance tend to be at the warmer end, and I'm going to put some of my grow stones in because the ones that have just come out of that mix seem to do quite well. Right, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that'll do. It's light and airy with enough substance to actually allow the roots to get a decent grip. So we put some in the bottom. The dust that comes off those grow stones feels like grease. It's very strange. Now this is the deeper pot, so we will a slightly larger plant in there. You see the new roots starting to grow, plus there's some already progressing. So we will try and get that in right up against the back of the pot, and then tip it over so that it's not growing at an angle. And then, because I pot dry, I can just do this and the media will automatically fill in all the spaces without any pushing or pressing. You don't want any of that with those nice shiny new roots. There we go, all the roots are in there. No gaps. And now we will attempt to hold it still. So we're going to do the usual trick with the duct tape and the stick. Dust off my hands, otherwise it'll stop it sticking. Very sticky stuff this is, which is good, you know, I mean it does the job. Oops, not quite low enough. There we go, and just stick that there. Make sure it's stuck, and we want a suitable clip. Grab that back bulb. There we go, that's got it held. So I can just see a few root tips sticking out. Just pop a bit more on, make sure they're covered. As long as they're covered, they will go down in. That's what I'm just trying to sort out a small handful of little bits to just go around the base there. Right, there we go. And you can have the label. There's only one. I'll have to do another one for the other pot, although at the moment it's obvious what it is. So that's one done. I should just about have enough for the other one. Same logic. Gently try and tease these roots in without them breaking. And the oldest bulb right up against the back, so that the new growth can spread across and leave room for the next growth. That's the important bit, is giving this one somewhere to grow and enough room for the next one. So the whole point of using this type of media that lasts quite a long time is that you leave room in the pot for some extra growths. So careful balance really, because you need room for some extra growth, like the next one, but you don't want the pot so big that it stays wet. And the happy balance is that it's not just the size of the pot that determines how wet it's going to be, it's the type of media you use and how big that is. That's why I included some small bark, so make sure stuff stays high. Now I've got one root, two roots sticking up. There's nothing I can do. If I try and bend them, they will snap. So they will have to just be slightly aerial. This is a branching root system on Brassias, so you never know, they might branch out near the base. Right, same again. What will that stick do? It will, provided I can get a big enough clip to go round. We'll give it a try. Did get two complete stakes out, but you know, why use a new one and cut it in half when I've just cut them in half? I always turn the end over like that, so that next time when I want to start doing that, we're not going to do all this pick, 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 pick. Will you come undone? You just use that corner. Pull from there. If you remember in time, if you do use this putting the stake on the outside method to hold a newly potted plant, if you remember in time, most pots have got a rim that hangs over. If you snip a piece out, your stake will go farther in and be more upright. That's not quite so important for this one. I'm going to have to use quite a big clip for this, I think. Let's see if one of these will do it. Push that down. Is that going to bind on? Yes, it is. Gotcha. There we go. Left over, which I will put in my leftover bits bag. I end up with a bag full of all sorts of stuff that I've used, all mixed up together. It's a perfectly good mix for some things, not necessarily everything though. Right, so the distinct difference this time round is what? The distinct difference this time round is no moss. No moss, that way these roots and the plants can be left in the pot for at least 2 years without even have to think about worrying. The next time these get repotted will be because the next growth at the time is going to come over the pot and therefore produce aerial roots, which is a waste. The plant can survive okay that way, but if you think about it, if it's gone over the edge of the pot and created aerial roots, what's the next growth going to do? Yeah? And when you take it out to repot it, those aerial roots where you let it go over the edge of the pot don't like being put in media and will often fail. Sometimes they make it, sometimes it's, you know, they just do, and other times they just fail because they've gone from being an aerial root to being enclosed in media. You can transition them if you want to bother. Right, so there we go. Brassia, that has become 2. In theory it could have become 5, but I don't want 5 Brassias, and I suppose I could have potted them and given them away or something or other, but you know, it's my media, my pots. Pots are getting precious nowadays. They've started getting very expensive, and you can't very often get the pots like these older ones, you know, with the air cones and everything. So a good watering, get the dust out, and set them up in their new home, which won't be where the old one came from. I need to find a place that's bright but not intense. So let them get rooted in before we increase the light level. So yeah, so set back from the door end about halfway down, but still on the top shelf. So find some room for them. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.